So we're going through some sales trading now, guys. If you are a cold caller, then there's some practical insights here that I think will be very useful for you. So let's just quickly go from the top. This is a call we've got for a client at the moment who ultimately is in the space of selling to, in the context of this call, fish and chip shops. So let's just have a quick listen, and I'll go through tactically. If you're in the space of cold calling, if you follow the advice I'm about to give you, will improve the nature of every single cold call that you make. So let's just go from the top, and I'll start winging through all of the things. And Riaz, who's with us, just sit back. I say relax, enjoy. Just take as many notes where you think they're relevant for you, and I'll go through all of the comments. So good call in any event, but there's, of course, with every call that we have, always small things that we can improve, and the cumulative effect of the improvement means that you can have significantly better calls. So let's get into it.
Golden Union.
Hi, Mr. Drew. It's Noah here from Halcyon. How are you doing?
So point number one, even when you catch up with people, you rarely call someone Mr. and then their first name. It's just unusual. So it's better to just say, hey, Deepak, how you doing? Hey, George, how you doing? I wouldn't say, hey, Mr. Riaz, how are you? Hey, Mr. Evan, how are you? So I know that that's playful, but contextually, I would say that it's just better to address them by their first name. So just say, hey, Drew, it's Noah from XYZ. How's it going? So just that being probably the first thing that I would tweak when it comes to the convention with how you use someone's name. If it's a name such as Drew and it's a fish and chip shop, so it's a relatively informal, straightforward environment, you just say, hello, Drew. Hello, sorry, this is Drew. How you doing, mate? That would be the appropriate type of language for a chip shop.
From Halcyon. How are you doing?
From where, sorry?
So he says from where, sorry, here. The second point is whenever anyone does callbacks, always assume the person you're calling back has forgotten who you are, and therefore it's better just within your opener to build in the reminder. So that would then be, hey, is this Drew from Golden Union? Yeah, speaking. Oh, amazing, Drew. It's Noah here again. I actually called you a couple of weeks back. I'm from a company called Halcyon. I don't know if that rings a bell at all, but we're the guys that do X, Y, Z. Oh, yeah. And then he'll interrupt you once you remember. So you can go for the opening. Yes, is this X from Y? So is this Drew from Golden Union? Or when someone says, hello, Drew speaking, say, Drew, it's X, but building into the elevator is always a safer way when you do callbacks.
From Halcyon. We spoke a couple of weeks back about the oil management system.
And you do it here, which is fantastic. So really good. You can just compress that by building it into the elevator.
Oh yeah, I remember. Yeah. Do you know what? I didn't look at it. I've been away actually, so I haven't had a chance to look at it. Sorry.
You know,
Whenever someone says sorry, acknowledge you're sorry. Don't worry, no problem. Oh, it's all good. Yeah, I know. Whenever anyone says sorry, what anyone prefers to ideally hear is, that's okay. I forgive you. Don't worry. If ever instead someone says sorry and then you say, well, what we can do, it makes it sound like you're annoyed that they have made that error. So always when someone says sorry, acknowledge the sorry. Let's keep going.
Sorry.
Oh, also, small talk opportunity opens up here.
I had a chance to look at it. Sorry. Actually, so I haven't had a chance to look at it. I've been away actually, so I haven't had a chance to look at it. Sorry.
Oh, Drew, don't worry about it, mate. I appreciate things get busy. Oh, you said that you're away, by the way. Where'd you go? Anywhere nice? Did you get to see some beach or some sunshine or XYZ? What were you up to for your week? Holidays, I'm hoping. Hope you weren't bogged down by work or something, mate. Yeah. Actually, I was away with the wife and the kids. We go camping sometimes. Or, oh yeah, you know what? I am a fan of XYZ and I just took the week off or whatever it might be. So whenever you get view when you're calling of a passage into people's personal life, you can use that as a point to build in small talk. So always remember that any reference to a person's personal life, including I've been away from work, I've been unwell. Oh, I'm so sorry, mate. Is everything okay? How have you been? Are you feeling better now? maybe it's better if I just call you back at another time. People are like, no, you know what? I appreciate you asking. No, don't worry at all. I'm much better now. What's going on? Well, yeah, okay. And then you can continue. So you can build a bit of a personal connection in that way.
You know what? Actually, let me set up a call for you where they can explain to you exactly all the details of how it's done. And then after that call, you
use a particular word here that separates you from the business. I know, so depending upon, this won't apply to any companies apart from, let's call them gun for hire cold callers. So people that either work individually or work with a rotating set of products like we do at Pearl Lemon, because we have different companies that hire us. Refrain from using the word they, because it makes you sound like you're not part of Halcyon. Because you go from saying, "Oh, I'm calling from Halcyon," but they can walk you through the product demo, because the implication is, because I don't do that, I'm not involved. So you create separation between you and the product you're trying to pitch. So try and refrain from 100% of the time using the word they. Instead, use we, we, we. Oh, you know what? My colleague Linda, dude, she's awesome. She'll do a much, much better job of explaining exactly how the product works. And I really just think if you have a 15-minute chat with her, you're gonna just see the value that it's gonna provide for your fish and chip shop. What do you say? Have you got just 15 minutes in your diary to have a quick chat with Linda? And don't, whenever and where you can, personalize everything. So don't say my sales director or my sales team. Make it all first name conventions like you do with your friends.
details of how it's done. And then after that call, you can decide if you want to have details of how it's done. And then after, let me set up a call for you where they can explain to you exactly all the details of how it's done. And then after that call, you can decide if you want to have a physical demonstration where they can actually bring the machine to your store and, you know, you can see how it works.
So, of course, we've already discussed it off camera, but we'll discuss it on. The word store is not a term that's used within a fast food environment. You wouldn't call McDonald's a store. You would say their shop. Same thing with Burger King, same thing with any fish and chip shop. A store typically tends to relate to a department store or a it would, let's say there's a variety of applications for it, but you wouldn't really associate store with food. That's what I guess I'm trying to communicate. So let's keep going.
Are you available for a quick chat? Well, later today or tomorrow morning?
So again, knowing the industry, fish and chip shops tend to be informal. So guys, mirroring is the big thing. So when you're talking in an informal environment, I would not say, "Are you available for a conversation or for a call?" I'd say, "Are you around for a quick chat?" And what, say 2 hours for, like, what time is it now? Like 4 o'clock? So are you around for a quick chat rather than are you available? You would not really use the word, again, thinking contextually, you would rarely use the word available in a fast food type of environment, because it would feel a bit too formal for a fish and chip shop, for a burger place, for a pub. Are you available for a conversation next week, George? And you think, bloody hell, when I'm in a pub, I'd say, "Oh, when are you back from holidays? Oh, mate, are you going to be around later?" This would be a bit more usual in that environment. So be mindful of language in these in this context. So whenever, and again, it depends upon who you're talking to, but you need to make a mental adjustment really quickly depending upon the type of language you think the person in front of you is going to use, and mirror their language.
Oh, tomorrow morning. Oh, tomorrow morning. You know, you can see how it works. Are you available for a quick chat? Well, later today or tomorrow morning?
Try and give specific times. It's better. Are you around for a quick chat, say at 4 o'clock today or 11 a.m. tomorrow? Then it's easier for people to make a decision, because morning can be from 8 a.m. to midday. And of course, later today could be, well, what time later today? 2 p.m., 6 p.m. So these are just things to keep in mind.
Possibly tomorrow, but I'm literally right in the middle of doing some. Is it possible to give me a call in a couple of hours? I can tell you if I'm around tomorrow. Is that possible? Is that okay?
Well, why don't I get them to phone you? Because it's like a 10-minute call, explain everything to you so that you know exactly what it is. So you want me to set?
What you can tend to do when it comes to trying to navigate or lead the person to an outcome where they say they deflect the call. They say, "Oh, you know what? Can we finalize later? Can we have a chat later?" Always try and be agreeable, and then lead them in the direction that you want. Because when you say, "You know what you're saying is, let's do something else." Whereas if you say, "Yeah, absolutely, I can give you a ring back." In fact, what I'll do is I'll just ask Linda to call you back directly because she can explain it to you in a couple of minutes. Does that work for you, mate? Well, when are you available later on this afternoon? And then I can just ask Linda to give you a ring back and she can just go through it with you on the spot, to be honest with you. Rather than saying, "You know what," because "you know what" can often be a softer version of the word "but." So try and refrain from that word, that expression, "you know what." Let's see how he responds though, because this is my first time hearing this call for those of you that are watching.
So you want me to set that up for you for what
I've
time
got
are you
that.
free so that you know exactly what it is? So you want me to set that up for you for what
I've
time are
got
you
that
free to next
information.
10 minutes?
Yeah, I've got it. I'll look at the information first, but
This
because one of the moments.
this is where he begins to backtrack, it sounds like, because he feels you're being a bit too aggressive in your style. And that's coming from, it doesn't sound like you're really listening. Just with some of the words you use, "you know what," and not acknowledging the sorry, it feels like, this guy's a bit callous. All he cares about is getting the appointment and I can hear it. And there's been no acknowledgement of me being away or the sorry, so it doesn't sound like he wants to connect with me on the call. Sounds like he's all about business. And he's using words such as available and they and store. I'm absolutely 100% talking to a salesman and not maybe the kind of guy I'd want to sit with and have share some fish and chips with. So these little markers with language really can make a difference. So if it's useful for anyone that's listening, have a little bit of a vocabulary list when you call different types of industries, and or just be mindful of it. You can ask ChatGPT, "What should I be mindful of when I'm calling this industry versus that industry with how I communicate?" If you need some prompts.
What we do, we just kind of like use our oil, then resell it back to the company. So we kind of have a bit of a cycle going on with our use of
Right.
our oil anyway. So um, I just need, yeah. I'm not
So
exactly sure that I
yeah.
need to buy a piece of equipment to sort of, recycle my oil, basically.
Well, this is actually going to be an added extra, 'cause I'll tell you why. What is going to happen? Well, look, the way it works, it's not just that it's a filtration system. It does have a triple filtration system, but the secret weapon is called Halcyon EcoFlow. It's actually a powder. It's a food-based powder that they throw into the oil. Now that traps all the off tastes, the off colors, and gets all the dirt out of the oil. So then it goes
Hmm.
through the triple filtration system, which means that you can use your oil longer. So you can get 60% more use out of your oil. And then you're still selling your old oil back to the supplier. You're just going to be
Mm.
spending a lot less money on oil. I mean, look, it's been proven to save. What do you spend currently on oil? How many buckets do you spend? Do you use a week?
About £1,000 a week.
£1,000 a week. So I mean, that's really you could be saving yourself £26,000 for the year.
So you already done that math, I presume. What I would tend to do in that situation, because he's trying to catch up with your math like I am, because you are giving him a different set of math. If someone says, "Look, you spend £1,000 a week," I would say, "Look, you'll go from spending £1,000 a week to about 700 quid a week. You save 300 quid. If you have this 15-minute chat with Linda, my colleague, Drew, we're going to put £300 a week back into your pocket. So that call could be worth literally 1,200 quid a month to you. Come on, it's got to be worth it. If I could give you 1,200 quid in your pocket a month, 300 quid a week after a 15-minute chat, I take that call. So what do you say? Should we lock it into your diary rather than the bigger number? Start with the smaller number that's more manageable in people's minds. Because already I'm thinking, well, I'm spending $1,000 a week. Hang on, how are you going to save me 20? What you're going to say? You create confusion in the mind of the prospect because he's working on a weekly mathematical model. So again, it's about speaking the language of the prospect. So speak back to him based upon his weekly mathematical model. Or if you want to get to the annual figure, then you need to extrapolate it out, but beginning with his numbers. So say, well, okay. So then you say, Drew, you know what? Let me be honest with you, mate. And look, let me be honest with you, mate. Not because I'm trying to speak his language, the language of a fish and chip shop. Hello, mate. You wouldn't say hello, sir, or hello. You'd say hello, mate. Could I have, cod and chips, please, for me for two, and then some nuggets for my kid or whatever it might be. So you'd say, well, look, if you're spending $1,000 a week, that's 52 grand a year, right? So based upon the fact that we tend to save you 60%, that means you're going to basically get a bit of a refund of about 26 grand. Of that, you're spending over 50 grand a year on oil. That's going to drop to close to 30 grand. So then you can build, but you have to build it up. You have to start from where he is to get to where you are. Much like, as an example, Riaz, if you think about it, you literally did that with me saying, but Deepak, map out the path for me for how I can increase my salary. Because I made the same mistake that's happening on the call, and you, being the prospect, didn't like that because you said, but I need the model, I need the roadmap. How do I get there? Show me from where I am to how we get there. So we need to do this for our prospects.
Pounds a week.
£1,000 a week. So I mean, that's really, you could be saving yourself £26,000 for the year. That's basically what we're offering. And the phone call is just to explain to you exactly in detail how the machine works, what it's going to do, and the costs. Explain the costs to you. But you're going to be saving way more than you're spending on this thing. And it is available on Elite.
How big is a piece of equipment?
It's not very big, and it's on wheels, so you can push it around, store it. The best part also is that it uses the oil in the fries, because this all is done while the fryer is hot, and it uses the fryer's own oil to clean the fryer. So the whole process just takes 6 minutes. So you save yourself time also on cleaning it. It's quite.
When you do it, then
you can do it. Well, you get to decide. So, but that's why I say, let me put you on a call with the product expert.
Did he say there? What did he say there?
She can explain to you exactly how it works. I'll give yourself time also on cleaning it.
When do you do
it? Then
you can.
When he asks, when do you do it? When do you clean it? When do you use the machine, kind of thing?
Okay.
Do it. Well, you get to decide. So, but that's why I say, let me put you on a call with the product expert.
I'm confused by that part there. When do you do it? Because he asks a question that I don't quite understand.
Yeah, the machine. Because I was explaining the cleaning. It cleans out the machine. So that's why he asked, when do you do it?
What does he mean by that?
The fryer. When do you clean it? When do you run it through the machine?
So I predict, I haven't heard the rest of the call for those of you that are watching, because he asked an ambiguous question, I think, and we as a caller don't clarify what he means, I predict the call starts to go bad again here for some reason, because I feel that that's not been acknowledged. But let's find out. I hope I could be wrong, but I predict that that's creating confusion in the mind of the prospect. Let's see, because you kind of brush over it and don't give him a specific. Let's see that.
So that she can explain to you exactly how it works, answer all your questions, and from there you can decide. Look, you know what? Let me have a first.
The other thing to notice is that you do not vary your pace often enough. I can hear the rushing in your voice. There's almost too much eagerness that comes through with the pace. I can hear that, man, this guy's trying to ram this call down my throat. When do you do it? Well, you know what? You can choose when's best for you. And I can already tell, to be honest with you, naturally, Drew, you've got some more questions. Linda is listen now. Listen to my speed of reply. Listen to that now, Riaz. So, you know what, Drew? It sounds like you've got some really good questions, mate. I think Linda will be the perfect person for you to speak to. I'm just looking at her diary now. Buddy, are you around at 4 o'clock in 2 hours from now? Let me know if you are, because then I can just get it in the diary. She'll call you back and she'll go through answers to every single question that you've got. And I'm confident then that you'll want to have us bring in the actual oil filtration machine. What do you say? Are you around at 4? So do you notice here the variation between how I'm saying what I'm saying? I speed up at some points and I slow down. So just building that variation is going to be helpful, because otherwise it all melds into one message, because the pace is so pacing is an important part of pitching, and practicing pacing will help.
Demonstration. Come show me the machine, or you can decide, look, it's not for me. But you're going to be saving yourself, it's basically £2,000 a month, more or less. So, what time are you free for a 10-minute call?
Do you know what, you call me one that hops, so I don't know at the moment. So I will have to let me have a think about it, and then
tell me what's
then
your concerns. Talk.
Okay. So here, I would say the aggression really comes in on your side. It's just better to back off at this point and say, look, you know what, Drew, no problem at all. You say give you a ring back right when you're looking at your diary. I'll just give you a call back in a couple of hours from now, and then let's just figure out something then. How does that sound? No problem, because now he's backing away again. It's like, oh, you know what? He seemed determined to lock down the time. And also for those of you who are fundamentally listening, you can still generate an appointment without necessarily, if you're choosing, it's better to lock down interest with the prospect, and then depending upon the nature of your agreement, you can still pass that up the food chain and say, look, I think he needs to be chased a little bit because he sounds maybe quite busy or not as organized as we would want, or some variation of that. But I gave him a bigger part of the pitch. He's absolutely qualified because he meets our criteria, and he is very open. So I'd say this is a good lead. The challenge is locking him down into an appointment at a specified time. So with this prospect, I recommend you just try and give him a ring a couple of times. He knows your name and he knows to expect your call at some point, and you may need to try him a couple of times, but that's what you should do. So this is an option that's open to you, Riaz, when you feel that, you know what, because the alternative is not getting the lead, or forcing them to say, okay, just call me then. But if the energy changes and the sentiment isn't there, they'll very quickly just put down the phone. But also, if you just sense that this is the kind of prospect who is interested, but he could as easily not turn up at that time as turn up, it's better to communicate that to whoever the closer is. Say, this is Drew. He's a great prospect, but Drew is someone that you'll need to chase a little bit. Even if I locked in a time with him, there's a 50-50 chance as to whether he'll turn up. He's the kind of guy that you just need to ring once or twice. And then if you catch him at the right time, he'll have a 20-minute chat with you, and you could do the whole sale then. So that's what I recommend with Drew. And we will encounter these kinds of prospects. And probably that's something that you should build into how you begin to generate appointments. Does that make sense? As opposed to simply saying, I must lock someone down into a specific time. I'm someone, to be honest with you, me, who doesn't like being locked down to a specific time either, because I don't need to. And I regularly, as you've just seen evidence of it, we have appointments in our diary, but oftentimes I don't turn up, or I say I'm unavailable, or I shift the time. So if you were, for example, to book an appointment with a prospect with me, Deepak at Pearl Lemon, it'd be more advantageous for you to say, you will be able to talk to Deepak, but be prepared to chase him a little bit, because he's just the kind of character that doesn't tend to stick in terms of how he structures his time, as far as I can see, to a lock time in the diary. But he's a good lead, because I've spoken to him. He is open once you talk to him, and you can negotiate with him, and I've already qualified him. But it's better that you just call him a couple of times. Try this time and try that time, and then just keep trying a little bit, because I would be misleading you if I locked in a time with him, because that's just not how he operates his calendar. Does that make sense, Riaz?
Yeah.
And this seems like that kind of guy. So on that, or obviously he is pressured and he just therefore backs away because you just need to call him back and see when he's available. But let's see what happens.
Talk to me. Tell me what's your concern.
No. I'm just going
You're
to
so
talk
reluctant for the phone call. Tell me why you're reluctant for the phone call.
Oh, how much is a piece? How much is the kit?
Now look, it's available on the lease as well. So I mean, you don't actually have to lay out any money. If you're going to buy the machine outright, I'm not entirely sure on the cost outright. But yeah, they can explain that to you on the call, or now after explaining exactly how the machine works and everything else, and then from there you can decide if you want to set up. What's up.
Okay, cool. Let's you know what? Let's keep listening actually all the way.
I promise you, the only thing you're going to regret is that I didn't come to you sooner. Really?
Okay. Yeah.
What time?
Okay. Well, it might have to be. Do you know what? I think it's going to have to be next week, though.
Okay, fine. Do you see that your tonality change did more than anything you were saying there? Okay. You sound so convinced, and you sounded likable. Up until that point, you weren't addressing or listening to his objection. I'm not interested in the lease. You need to then say, look, I hear you on the lease thing. No one likes to be tied down. But honestly, Drew, I wouldn't be calling you if I wasn't really hand on heart, being honest when I say you're going to save a bunch of money, even with a lease. So your desire to not want a lease is going to be outweighed by the boatload of money that we're going to save you, mate. Like this is like getting a tax refund. Think of it like that. I'm offering you free money, mate, because it's just says appealing to his emotion seems to work, because that's what you've just done here, saying, oh, you know what, you're going to regret I didn't contact you sooner. And he's like, okay, go on then. Fucking go on then. So cool. Let's just see how the call closes out.
I think I won't be able to do this week. So probably Monday.
No problem. Monday at what time?
Probably about 11.
11 a.m. Okay. Gotcha. What's your mobile number?
07970.
Yeah.
Be in the habit of repeating back people's numbers. People like to hear that as a reassuring principle. What's my number? 07877 0787. So just repeat people's numbers back. I, as a decision maker, do not like when people don't repeat the number back to me, because I think, did you get it down right? Because I didn't. Yeah.
76648. In fact, can we do it at 2:00 in the afternoon, please?
He is one of those guys. So if you haven't communicated to the end client that this is the kind of guy, expect that he might not be available at the time as advertised, but he is a good prospect. He's asking all the right buying questions. We need to communicate, and that might change the nature of how we do all of our client dialogue, because we might be misselling the reality of the turn-up rate at the specified time, because the nature of this type of industry, fast-moving food, let's say, or fast food, is that people don't have calendars, not that much. They don't do Zoom meetings. They're not sat at a desk. They're running around. So probably we need to communicate that to our client and say, all of these prospects are good, but you need to make 3 contact attempts, because I'll be honest with you, you could call them at the time that they say, but there's a 50-50 chance as to whether they'll be available then, because something happens in the kitchen or something happens with one of their staff members, and then this stops becoming a priority. But it's a good lead. So maybe you can go back to the team and say, look, I think based upon the discussion that Deepak and I have had, we've got to readdress how, communicate this with the client and actually state it in those terms, because he already sounds like one of those guys, and there's any physical business like that is going to be like that. Like plumbers, any physical business where there's a physical kind of premises or there's physical work, like service-based industry. So I'd say that that's something that we need to consider with all of our clients.
Sure. Monday, 2 p.m.
Yeah.
No problem. Yeah.
Okay.
2 p.m. All right. Excellent, Mr. Drew.
Okay.
Chat to you. Pleasure. Bye-bye.
Yeah, the buy was the end was so abrupt There was no look. Anyway, enjoy the rest of your day, buddy. I'm glad that we got there in the end. I do promise you it's going to be worth it. And so you need to have a bit of a summary statement. The big thread through the entire call is that you seem eager to just lock him in on an appointment, not build a personal relationship, and then piss off as quickly as you can. So if I'm Drew, I'm 50-50 as to whether I'll turn up at that time. Mm-hmm. So, for those of you who are watching, if you're a cold caller, hopefully that was instrumental. Lots of takeaways. And I guess the big thing with cold calling and booking appointments, there's so many small nuances that can make a big difference to the quality of the outcome. And on that note, Riyadh, what are your key takeaways based upon our discussion, our long chat?
So I must acknowledge what people are saying. That's the first thing. Acknowledge, I think, every response and build in small talk to what they're saying, and always speak as though I am part of that company, part of the company, and speak in the lingo of the client, mirror their language, and be agreeable, and acknowledge and respond to every objection.
Amazing. Great notes. And then the only other thing I'd say is that based upon our discussion about people and their availability, I'd say have a chat with Tebby, Sebastian, and your team about saying, guys, I think where you think it's relevant that we need to adjust how we communicate the generation of leads to clients. I think we should go for we've got qualified interest. The conversation will happen, but we can't lock it down at a certain time because there's industries that are like that. And that might then change the nature of the perception of our leads and how, for example, that client approaches the prospect, saying, look, he said 2, but I'd recommend you call him at 2 and then at 4 and then the next day. So make 3 contact attempts. And they might say, well, why? He doesn't stick to a diary. It's not about me booking him at a certain time. His diary seems to change all the time. So that's why I'm saying that. So discuss that with the team and see what conclusions you guys come to.
Yeah, we did actually tell Caitlin this. They actually moved from doing Zoom meetings to doing phone calls. And well, we had a heavy no-show rate, but I think we've had a good second show rate.
Yeah.
So by chasing up the clients, and then they actually eventually do get to speak to them.
And you should also recommend that the client WhatsApps the prospects as well.
Yeah, I've been sending SMSs to them in the morning just to remind them about the appointment. But the WhatsApp is a good idea for them to do it on their side as well.
Tell them to do it. Amazing. All right, my man.